We're going to start off the stream with just a little bit of gaming. We're going to chillax for a little bit for maybe half an hour, and then we'll start development. Feel free to ask questions. I do not mind. We're not doing anything productive just yet. We're just having fun. But once that half an hour mark is up, it's time to start getting some shit done. I don't really have anything in mind other than, I guess, train work for L2. I'll figure out something. See if we can get some missions done. Get some grind on crossout done. And my volume a little bit. I think it's pretty good. Okay, we got 2 concurrent viewers, that's great. I'm not sure if anyone's in the chat. If so, say hi. Kind of waiting for a match. It's gonna take a... Oh, there we go. So this is just a PvE match. We're not doing any PvP. Don't really feel like it. I get matched up against meta build and pick that one. Not even close. I'd much rather use an art build because they look nice. Okay. I guess not. We're not playing that anymore. I had a funny feeling that would be an issue. Yeah, I don't know what's with crossout, but it seems to just not like faulty internet. A little unfortunate. It's okay. We can chillax in the lobby for a little bit. There is the Easter event starting, so there is quite a bit to do. Let's check chat while we're at it. It definitely has. It's just the new update for Infinity Abyss's graphics. I think it's pretty good. Pretty proud of it. I think it's a little out of theme, but I love it if I did not get disconnected every 5 seconds. Okay, apparently we cannot play any games. Crossout apparently takes up most of my Wi-Fi, so we're just not doing that right now. I guess we're going to get straight into development. I would have loved to do a little bit of chillaxing the start of the stream, but I can't do it. I can't do it. We're going to start on Layer 2's development. Now, unfortunately, I am using a display capture for this. Okay, let's see if we can fix that a little bit. I have to do this every single stream. I don't know why. Hopefully that works. going to take a little bit before the stream catches up with the recording. For whatever reason, it's not opening up Studio right now. I did open up the wrong layer. We're going to quickly swap. Just a quick check. Can you guys see what's going on for the studio end, or is it just grayed out for you? On my end, I can't really see what's going on. Okay, sweet. Oh, there we go. Okay, that should be a whole lot better. Quickly grab some music. Now, from what I understand, you can't, I mean, you can, but they seem to be pretty lenient with it. The studio that made Made in Abyss and owns the rights to it, they don't seem to have any issues with people using their music for creative use. As long as it's non-profit and you don't make any money off of it, that should be fine. Here, we'll test it out. We'll play some Made in Abyss music. I don't see any problem with that. And I'm going to assume there are no objections to this. Can you guys hear the music? You cannot hear the music. Okay. Capture audio. You know, it's telling me that it is picking up audio. How about now? Sweet. We can begin. I'm going to increase the gain of it, and I'm going to lower the volume on my end so I can hear my voice. Should be pretty loud for you guys, though. Okay. Let's grab our task. Slight hiccup at the start of the stream, but that's okay. We are pretty much up and running. This is a little bit outdated, so we're going to quickly update this. I don't really think there's much left to do in terms of patching holes, but I guess we can say that's almost done. This is Old Stories. It's one of my favorites. I think this plays in the second movie, the one with the Golden City. Okay. If you guys have any song suggestions that are from the Made in Abyss soundtrack, let me know. I am very, very much likely going to get copyrighted for this, but we're going to just try it out. Obviously, we're testing the waters. I was never really sure that beach streams would be a commonplace thing to begin with, so I'm fine with testing. That plus, it is a really, really good soundtrack. I think we can all agree with that. As usual, if you have any questions, let me know. I think I've answered most of the questions that people had. Honestly, probably 20 times over, too. But if you're not sure about anything, or if you've known you've asked that question but you need a refresher, go ahead and hit me up with the question in chat, and I'll probably answer in a moment. So, quick refresher on what I'm currently doing right now. We are going to be adding these smaller pieces. These smaller pieces allow the player to climb them. These larger structural pieces you cannot climb. I mean, you can try it, but you'll likely fall off. You won't have enough stamina to fully reach the end of this hill, for example. So that's where these come in. We'll make a slight confession. Occasionally we'll add some of these smaller pieces, but we'll elongate them. And the idea is the player will have to pick between certain paths. Some of them will be designed to waste your stamina and cause you to fall down. So you need to be a little bit careful. Not all of these are safe. You kind of have to gauge that distance yourself. It can be a little difficult. Okay. So I don't know if you guys noticed, but my character no longer moves their mouth when audio is played in the background. Instead, it fully relies on my mouth. And although it has trouble tracking it, it is kind of set to that instead. So you should have the ability to know when I'm talking, assuming it'll pick up my voice. Or my mouth, sorry. If I move my mouth like dramatically. Should be able to see it move. Oh, we have questions. Awesome. We have a couple of them. Okay. Starting with B-Man. How do you get the terrain to look like that? But we use generated textures for the terrain. And we also put them together so that we can have flat climbable surfaces. We do this with multiple material types that have different geometry. Sometimes we use scripts to make the terrain pieces, but not all the time. Skater has a question. Is there anything being done on the scripting side for Roblox hitboxes? Yes, we have custom hitboxes. Everything is a custom hitbox. Your other question was, will we have ropes that we can send down? Honestly, that's spoilers. I think we did tease it once, but I'm just going to say spoilers. I'm not going to admit to anything just yet. There's probably a feature like that, but I won't let you know. I think that gave it away. I think I'm going to add a fake descent here. You might have the ability to scale this, I never know. At least until I try it myself. We do have a dedicated team of testers that I could be asking to test things out, but I'd much rather wait before I ask them to do anything. I'm not quite done with everything yet. Alright, good enough. Play one more time, then we'll pick a different song. Whatever's the first answer in chat for a new song suggestion, we'll do that. Remember, it has to be Made in Abyss related. It cannot be from a different game or a show. That I was a little bit too locked in. Let me quickly see if you guys asked any questions. I doubt it. Oh wow, a whole lot of shit happened while I wasn't looking. How many players are you expecting upon launch? Honestly, I am not sure. The maximum bank that we could possibly tap into is not a concurrent, but likely 2,000 or so players. This is based on the number of people that watched, like individual people that watched the speedrun video. And no promise that that's going to be what happens, it's just the maximum of what I'd expect. The least I'd expect is at least 50 players. If we don't get 50, then ouch. It's gonna suck. Well, let's see what other questions were asked. How will the game handle ops? I don't quite understand this question. How will it handle enemies? Okay. So, assuming you mean PvE, or player versus entity, or player versus enemy, you have your base crippling mechanics that you can achieve by dealing a sufficient amount of damage to your opponent, and at some point you'll also deal posture. And what it essentially allows you to do is it allows you to momentarily stun your opponent. I don't think it prevents them from moving, it just prevents them from attacking you. And that allows you to get a little aggressive and get some melee hits in. Currently, posture is a little bit too OP. I hope it gets adjusted and becomes a little bit more difficult to obtain. Right now it's like 4 seconds of stun, which is ridiculously high. But V stated that he'd be adjusting it, so I'm sure it'll lower to like maybe half a second of posture manipulation that you can utilize in a fight, which doesn't sound like a whole lot, but in a fast-paced fight, that's plenty of time to get a couple hits in. Maybe a second tops. I don't know. We'll see. Will the players be able to kick and punch if they are holding nothing? That is a good question. And right now, no. Unfortunately not. You can throw things. That's kind of the only thing you can do without a dedicated weapon. Throwing damage scales with the weight of the item, and that's about it. Obviously, the heavier the item, the harder it is to throw, the less range it has, but if you can manage to do it, it can be a pretty useful makeshift weapon. How long have you been knowing about the game? Honestly, I cannot remember the last I played it? Question mark? 1 second. Let's do a little bit of research real quick. Sorry, I had to cut the music for a little bit, because, you know, this is a good question. How long has it been? I don't think it's been too long. So we go to YouTube real quick. And then we go to view my channel. The most popular video. Click that. Yep, that is not my most popular video. This one right here. Huh, a year ago. So this is when I first found this game, about a year ago. Let me get the exact date. I first played it on April. I got invited to the team around a month or two later. I think it was because they watched the speedrun video and then they also saw the stuff that I did in art chat. They said that I would have the skills required to hop on. Obviously, I needed to prove myself in studio, so they had plenty of time for me to just show my talent off to the team. Before it was about 7 people working on the project, now it's just down to 2, as you guys probably know. And let's quickly switch back to my alt so that we can go ahead and listen to some more music. Now, I'm going to answer more questions in a moment, but first things first, I promised that I'd be switching to a different song. Pick one song from the Made in Abyss soundtrack and we'll play it. It has to be Made in Abyss. First answer. Ready, set, go. To answer that question briefly, they just weren't active, so we removed them. They weren't active at all. Tomorrow? Okay, let me look that up. Caps. I think it's this one right here. If I'm not mistaken, there are. I don't think it's because of the leniency of the studio. It's more like some of these songs aren't quite protected as well. I don't know. I'm using another streamer as a reference. What was his name? The guy that animates the manga. He said that some of the songs will give you a penalty and some of them won't. So I'm kind of just experimenting. We'll see what works and what doesn't. Let's quickly switch back to. Yep, exactly him. That's the dude. Michael. Michael? I don't know how you pronounce his name. If he ever watches this and he rolls his eyes, I can't pronounce most people's names. That's a quick disclaimer. Discard that. How do I? See, it was letting me do this a moment ago and now it won't. I don't know why. I guess it's because I accidentally deleted it. Oh, nope, there it is. We are always looking for new modelers, we're always looking for new programmers, we're always looking for literally everything. But I think the main problem is that we kind of set the standard a little too high, which is not a bad thing. We need people who actually know what they're doing, rather than people who do it as a hobby. Uh, I think I could give a standard of what we're looking for. If you can make entire 2000 by 2000 stud across diameter maps on your own, you could be a map maker for us. You need to be able to do it within a reasonable period of time. It usually takes us about a month to fully decorate a layer, but less than that to actually place all the terrain pieces. I think like 3 weeks tops. That's just a map maker. If you are a modeler, we request that you know what topology is. We need you to know what low vert count is. We need you to know what low poly versus high poly is. We need you to know how to retopologize things. Texturing. Uh, what else? You need to know how to use PBR textures, which is important because most of the stuff that you see here is like there's nowhere to apply per se, but there is a way for you to get known. Simply post your work in art chat. Put the tag dev reveal, like just put a text in there saying dev reveal or whatever, and we'll take a look at it. I tend to filter through that chat a lot with that in mind, but I don't think I've found anything yet because I I think last stream I tried to cover that with a video that went into in depth on that topic, and unfortunately the audio wasn't playing properly, so there was no like feedback on that. But that's what we're looking for in a modeler. As for a programmer, unfortunately, that's a little bit out of my field. Let me lower the volume of the music real quick so I can hear myself talk. But ask V what he's looking for. Preferably don't annoy the crap out of him because he is our only programmer. There is one other person on our server who you can ask, who isn't necessarily officially on our team, but he is knowledgeable. His name is Maiden Plaster. He's an incredibly good programmer, and we keep looking at his work, interested in adding him to our team. And for whatever reason, we're like on and off with hiring the dude. I'm not sure why we are kind of like displaced on doing so. I think he meets the qualifications for it, but I guess that's the standard that you'd be looking for a programmer. To be clear, there are multiple roles that you could be filling. You could be a front-end programmer, which handles the visual coding assets of the game, the visual functionality, things like animated UI, soundtrack handling, sound effect handling. I guess it's a little bit more back-end. Whatever. It tends to bleed the line a little bit. He has, unfortunately. I don't know what happened to him. He occasionally hops on and says stuff. He really wants to join the team, but I think we're a little bit too harsh. We're a little bit harsh on everyone, honestly. We're picky with who we hire as beta testers, for Pete's sake. It's not intentional, but you know, we really want people who know what they're doing, as well as people who are passionate and that we can trust. And then at the end of the day, it kind of boils down to like a random vote. It's nothing personal. It's just kind of like how we process people. We're just unreasonably picky. Anyway, back to the music. There are other questions that I wanted to answer, but honestly, I have to dig for all those other questions. We'll just continue on with development. If you guys want to re-ask those questions, go ahead. I'll answer them in like 2 minutes or so. If you have any other music suggestions, let me know. for another song. When you get to layer 3, will it get worked on a lot like layer 2? Honestly, I would be expecting the same level of quality in level 3. I might have to just simply stick with it, because there's not necessarily anything wrong. Okay, fine, we'll play this one, and we'll see what that's about, because this guy keeps asking for it. It's 2 minutes long, so it's not gonna last very long. No mounts. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be doing mounts. This is music right here. I actually haven't heard of this one. And like I said, that was only 2 minutes long. So I guess we're doing yet another song. Okay, what's next? Any ideas for gliders or parachutes? I do not know. That's never been brought up before. I don't think we are going to be doing that, but you never know. Is that which one is that one? Yes, that is absolutely correct. If your character dies during at any point of the game, you'll respawn back at Earth. You will not have your items. It gets dropped on death. You can reclaim them if you find them. Is that seriously what it's called? Okay, well, let's look it up. What does it even mean? Okay. I guess I'll have to look that up. Okay, it's playing. A little quiet. I remember this now. Next, gravity. Okay.
Hey Meta, can I get some discussion starters for my week?
We are really testing what copyright can do. The stream. Okay, so there's another question. What is the main focus regarding development of the game? Like bug fixes, adding relics, fixing terrain, adding more terrain, etc. Well, currently the little TDL that you see at the top of the screen, that is pretty much all I have to do. It's right here. Uh, that's all that's left for me, anyway. This does not include what V has to do, which honestly I can't speak for him.
With Geico, we can easily bundle home and car insurance and save even more.
Yeah, just order that breakfast burrito.
There isn't too much hot sauce, is there?
Because I lower my volume before an ad starts. It's okay. What other questions I need to answer? Is the next part of the layer after this going to be the inverted forest with the upside down trees and the secret camp? We already have that done actually. If I scroll down. We do in fact already have the secret camp and its interior done. Go through a different entrance. Here it is. Now, obviously, it's a spoiling it, so I can't show too much of it. Alright, you know what time it is, chat? I'm going to be leaving a little bit of music on while we wait. But I'm going to be having a piss break, and I'm going to grab me a drink. You guys should absolutely grab yourself some popcorn, something to sip on, maybe. It is very, very big. Very, very big game. There's so much stuff that we're not showing you guys, too. It's not like I'm showing literally everything. That was just all we have. But there's just so much more in the background that I don't think it will. Currently, the one thing we're having issues with is rigs. It seems to have a bit of an issue. Hierarchy updates caused lag. It is what it is, I guess. A ticket was made 2 years ago to get it fixed. It is not an issue on our end, but that unfortunately means we cannot fix it. We can only do workarounds. But aside from that, everything else runs perfectly fine. I've been able to clock like 60 FPS on still frames, 50 on populated areas, which is a little worse, but it's doable. You can definitely fight in 50 FPS. That sounds like a good idea. I'll be seeing you guys later. Maybe in like 5 minutes. And while I'm gone, you guys can go ahead and think of questions to ask. And I'll be back at 5. Okay, so we have a couple questions. How long will dead players' items just stand there until they disappear? I do not remember. I'll have to ask V. I do know it persists for quite a while. Next question, will fishing be fun? Yes, it is. There's a little mini game that plays when you do fishing. There's also an automated way that you can do fish collection, but we're not going to spoil that. Next question. How long will the game? How will the game handle character customization? Will players be able to customize their characters? Yes, they can. You can use. Hold on, let me turn down the music. Cool. So you have your character's hair, so your default Roblox character hair, to customize your character with. You also have a selection of like 12 in-game hair items that you can pick. You have different pupil styles, different eyelash styles. You can change your skin color. You can change the color of pretty much everything. There's no size toggles, unfortunately. Everyone's the same height. What else? There are cosmetic items that you can put on your character. There are a lot of cosmetic items. Maybe not as many as Binary Star, but definitely enough to be handy, at least to give each player their own personality. With the combination with their character's look, obviously, it'll make them all look different. You might occasionally run into a character that looks the same as another one, but there's enough to customize with that I don't think it'll happen too often. Maybe not until like later on in the game where people find styles they like most, and they can agree with like a specific set of styles, and they just start commonly using it. Next question. Question 3. What is the dumbest bug the game has had so far? In teasers, you'll find honestly, probably our biggest teaser yet, of a bunch of people going fishing. You'll see the skylight and the skybox just kind of like change from day to night rapidly. And honestly, the dumbest bug ever, because there were 2 scripts that were manipulating the time of day, and they're kind of conflicting with each other. I'd fixed it once. The issue came back because we updated the mod pack, or not mod pack, sorry, the script pack, and unfortunately that unverted all my changes to his scripts, so I had to go and try to do it again, but he said that he would take over it and fix those issues himself, so that's no longer a problem now. Question 5. If the game gets more popular, will there be more updates to release often? Post-game content, or post-layer content, was discussed before, so expanding upon previous layers, we're definitely going to be doing that. Maybe not as much as you might think, because there's a point where we'll just consider a layer done. It probably won't be getting too much more. What else? Question 6. Yep, my connection kind of had a hiccup there. Okay, we'll move on to question 6. Will the game have a system to carry other players? Yes. This has been a thing for quite a while now, believe it or not. Before the overhaul started, there was a player carry feature. It has since updated a little bit to get around a couple bugs that it used to have. Like, for example, you used to be able to negate fall damage. The other person would die, but the person that was being carried would be fine. And that was an obvious issue, so we had to fix that. There were a couple other bugs too related to it, but those have all been fixed as far as I'm concerned.
Why are you texting me? And I thought it might take.
Question 7, I think. Will it be a system to make guilds or factions for delvers? Yes, this has been in the game for quite a while now. They're called parties. You can start them with multiple players. They're not necessarily guilds per se, but they are very useful to have to keep track of all the other players that are on your team. This has been in the game post-overhaul. It has received a couple updates to increase stability and to implement it into the new UI, but aside from that, no changes have been made to it. Question 8, any implemented bosses / mini-bosses? That is a spoiler, won't be answering that question, but judging on the way that I answered that, I think you can probably tell what that answer would have been. Question 9, will there be fan original content in the game or off the manga / anime content in the game? There is both canon content and there's non-canon content. There is more canon content than there is fandom content. And that is kind of a choice that we made, because it's a little cringe that we can just keep adding shit that we think would be... I don't know. I guess it makes sense. We wouldn't want to add too much fandom content to the game, unless we really, really need to. What's next? Question 10? How will the player handle night, a system? Will it get really dark, or will there be some sort of visible darkness so that players aren't fully blinded at night? That is actually part of the challenge. You have a headlamp for your character. You can turn it on, assuming you have a helmet, obviously. If you don't have a helmet, you can find sunstones that you can turn on, throw them, light up areas with them, or you can just carry them in your hand. There is a ambient lightness to the middle of the abyss, just like there is in canon, but darkness is designed to blind the player. That is an in-game feature. We do that on purpose. So much so that your character will literally look up and cover their eyes if it gets a little bit too bright. So they'll actually play interactive ambient animations to the environment. Question 12, will there be mobile port? No, there will not, because your mobile device would explode. This has been asked a lot of times. Question 13, will there be player-made economies? Yes. You'll be able to trade things. You'll be able to... I think auctioning has been brought up in the past. I think that is like the closest thing that we'd be doing for it. When Bureau does get released, if ever, that is probably going to be how we handle that. Question 13, will there be special weather events like floods and tornadoes? That is a spoiler. Won't be answering that. Question 14, will there be will the game have a system to communicate to other players via comm devices? That has not been implemented yet. Unfortunately, it'll be more or less the Roblox's default chat system. There will be a whisper function that is provided by default with Roblox. We might implement something like that. It does sound interesting. Voice chat has been brought up in the past. We'll probably look through that maybe later on. I would love to have it. I mean, voice chat is like the easiest way to boost like player retention out there. It was like when multiplayer was first released to video games. Remember when massive multiplayer games used to be like the big deal in the AAA industry? It used to be like super difficult to do, and now every game has it. But now that's happening with voice chat in game. That's starting to become a whole craze, I guess. But yeah, we'll look into it. Question 15, will layer 8 ever be added? I am not answering that question because spoilers. but most likely we would have to reinterpret it if the manga doesn't actually release a reveal of the 8th layer. I don't think that it'll ever happen. There's a good chance that it'll stop at the 7th, honestly. And if it doesn't stop at the 7th, you might have a little bit of like a bottom area that kind of shoots off. It probably doesn't have its own force field characteristics, because at that point you're already building a plot for it. It's already a mystery, so why would you add more mystery to it? Doesn't make too much sense to me from a writer's perspective. Why would you add more mystery to something that's already kind of confusing? They're already trying to look things up in the story. Like, characters are trying to theorize, like, what the 7th layer's curse is. The last thing they'd be concerned about is what the 8th layer's curse is. Message retracted. Let me see what that was. Kind of want to see what that was, but it won't let me. It's okay. Question 17. How will the enemy AI work? Will it be advanced or average? It is incredibly complex and it is modular. Not as modular as we'd like, unfortunately, but V is currently working as hard as he possibly can. He has stated that he might just kind of stick with it, whatever happens, add as much modularity as he possibly can, but he knows he can't automate everything. Not in a reasonable period of time, anyway. Question 18. Is procedural animation implemented in any part of the game? I think so. V has stated that he wanted to mess with, like, animation weights, so layering animations on top of each other. Unity does a similar thing with their animations, but Roblox by default does not. We have a weight system that kind of mimics that, but you can't tween into other animations, if that makes sense. Not as easily as you can in Unity. Question 19. How will private servers work in the game? It'll be default Roblox private servers, I'm gonna be honest. I think they're free? I could be wrong. Question 20. Will the game have a soul system of any sorts? I've been looking into it, so I can't really say that this is spoilers. So I think I can sort of answer this from the theoretical perspective. I do want to add it. I do want to add, like, a force field. Quick connection issues, give it a little bit. And we're back. Okay, what other questions we have? Question 21. I think I skipped one. Nope, I didn't. Okay. Question 21. How will Curse of the Abyss work? And will there be a curse decay like in Binary Star? It will fade. If that makes sense. Curse isn't permanent, it doesn't keep annoying you. It does have a long duration. How it essentially works is the further down you go, there's a tolerance level set. Where it kind of updates it to that new depth. The tolerance is like 10 studs or something like that, 15 studs high. So if you do jump, it's not super punishing. It doesn't trigger immediately. Will hollows be randomized NPCs that you can kill out of pity? We are not that far yet. Question 23. Will the speed of running be allowed in the game? Yes, there is running. Yes, there is dashing. Or technically rolling, or whatever you want to call it. Dodging, I guess you could call it. There is jump sprinting, or whatever the hell you want to call it, where you climb at a normal pace, but you can jump to kind of go further up. It consumes more stamina, kind of like a dodge would, a dodge roll. Question 24. Will you deal with the players' dupes that ruin the economy? there are anti-cheat functionality that will be implemented on the game's release. That is a concern that has been brought up before. It's not a common question, it's a pretty rare question, so I'm fine with answering it again. There are precautions taken to prevent player duping. It might still happen, but you know, if the game detects that there was a dupe, it will try to delete it. Let's see. Question 25. Will it be a slipping system when players run on muddy hills or something? Yes, there are environmental hazards, and that is one of them. Slipping only happens when the mud surface is at a certain angle. So if you stand on mud, it doesn't necessarily always mean you'll slip. It'll only start becoming slippery when there's a slope. Question 26. Will it be a global system that announces abandoned players in all servers? That's an interesting question that's never been asked before. That is pretty common in a lot of games too. And it does like kind of remind players that if you do cheat, you will be caught and you will have to deal with the consequences. I'll bring that up with V. It's a good idea. What difficulty will the game be at? We got with knowledge, so hopefully that will kind of alleviate that issue. Question 28. Will banned people in the Discord server also be banned from the Roblox game? There's no guarantee that that will ever happen. Unfortunately, there's always that chance that people can just simply join back with their other account on a separate platform. We could use a bot designed to alleviate that issue. There are a lot of bots that allow you to do that, but we would much rather implement our own system in order to do that rather than rely on someone else's functionality. Simply because we have a kind of like a nitpick of implementing other people's code. We sometimes do it, admittedly, but not all the time. Question 29. Will the game have any sort of implementation for abyssal glyphs? Yes. It'll be kind of referenced here and there, but you won't have like a translation. Oh man, that's a good idea. Holy shit. It would be really complicated though. Would you guys like that feature? Let's just throw that out there. Let's just say that is implemented in the game. Would you guys like a netherglyph translation system? You would have to be able to do it though. I mean, you would be the one who to keep tripping up. You would be the one to collect the information for the translation for the netherglyphs in order to translate them. There is a good chance that we would also have to translate it from Japanese into netherglyph, and that is a lot of work. I don't know, I mean, maybe. I think we would have to make, like, a custom font system. That is a good fucking idea. I mean... I'm gonna spoil something real quick. Even when the game is released, you'll have a lot of Easter eggs or secrets that you can find. I am 100% the reason why those exist. Most of the secrets that you'll find are due in part to me. And if I'm responsible for more of them, whew, don't mind if I do. I would love more secrets. They are canon, yes. A lot of canon Easter eggs. Lots of in-game shit. I keep tripping up. Ooh, I have to get my bearing because I'm kind of boosting my acidity right now. I haven't had anything to eat yet. have to grab me a snack later. Whole lot of questions too. Holy shit. I'm surprised that I managed to quickfire so many of them. Okay, where did I last left off? Shit. Question 30. Will you plan on having moderators as soon as the game releases or after some time? We will have moderators on the release, yes. Question 31. Will the game implement any way of seeing the force field? That is a spoiler. I tried to implement it in the past. I'll try again, but I will not tell you if it will be implemented or not. Question 32. Will NPCs be original or separate from the manga/anime? You will see a lot of canon characters, but there won't be too many of them. Because we would have to we would have to make them from scratch. Whereas a custom-made character that uses preset assets would be easier to create and just swap around. Okay, question 33. Will it be seasonal events like Christmas and Thanksgiving? I think that was mentioned in the Q&A video, the second one. Question 34, will the game have any way of pushing players off cliffs? There is knockback, yes. You can, in fact, push people off of cliffs. Question 35, will there be any notable player parties? Have a way to showcase their notability? Yeah, sorry about that. The Wi-Fi does tend to cut out. Here, let me see if I can... You guys can still hear me, correct? I'm going to take that as a no. That's unfortunate. Here, let me reset my Wi-Fi real quick. Yep, okay, I think we're back. Can you guys hear me? Jesus. Okay, sweet. Will there be any way to kind of have like... If I were to interpret this question, it sounds like, will popular factions have like squad logos? The answer is probably not. It is based on our party system. There are no guilds in the game. You can make your own like Discord group chat or whatever and invite your friends to it and become notable in the game. Question 36. Will there be any way to splash water onto other players' faces? No. Question 37. Will players be allowed to promote the game upon launch, including through social media? Yes. This has been asked before. You absolutely can. Do it as much as you'd like. Just note that you cannot have it be paid. At least I don't think you can. I think it doesn't apply to gaming. There won't be anything in the game that necessarily triggers copyright. So I think you could probably get away with monetizing your videos, but I could be wrong. I would suggest testing the waters if you plan on doing that. Question 37. Will there be a farming system implemented? Will not be answering that question because, again, spoilers. Question 38. Will building be added to the game? Jesus, guys, come on. That's two questions related to each other. Again, I cannot answer that question. There may or may not be something in the game that already has that implemented. Question 39. Will the game implement a sort of optional storyline for players to do? No. You can do whatever the fuck you want. And the reasoning for that is, we recently figured out that a main quest is kind of boring. It is hella boring. Holy shit. I mean, it gives you direction, so there might be a kind of like sort of structure to it. Maybe I'm getting this a little backwards. There will be structure, but there won't be like hand holding, if that makes sense. You'll still have every opportunity to just simply not do the quests at hand. Okay, what else? I have no clue where I last left off. Oh, question 39. Will there be any way to play audio like Roblox website, like through game radios? Oh, in-game radios. Oh, that is a good question. It's like collecting music discs. You know what? Yeah, probably. We are already making our own music system. Well, we've made a music system. We had to remake it to include ambient sound effects and whatnot. We could probably implement a record collection system, but you would have to pick up those music tracks along the way. So, like, each time you listen to the track at least once, through and through without dying, you would get it added to your list, and that's how you would have the ability to replay it if you want. Let's see what else. Will players be able to work other jobs rather than delving? There will be side quests, yes. That don't necessarily involve delving, but that is the core premise of the game, so there won't be a whole lot of features that implement that kind of concept. Question 41. How will you deal with voice chat offenses? We're not sure we'll be adding voice chat, so that is not a concern for us right now. Question 42. How will you implement zeppelins? There are decorative zeppelins in the game for Orc, but they don't do anything. Question 43. What will happen to the players that jump straight down in the abyss? I'm not answering that question, so you guys can be dumb enough to try it. There might be something that we thought of for that to happen. I mean, obviously we would have tried to have done that once, but if you're going to do it to test it out, nothing's going to stop you. Question 43, nope, 44. How complicated is the game's GUI/UI? It is not complicated at all. We have had a lot of people tell us that the in-game UI is really plain and simple. I mean, I can literally show what it looks like right now. Hold on. Okay, we're going to press this. Where is it? View UI. I've been using Studio for how many years and I still can't find shit? Here it is. This is what it looks like. Not complicated at all. If I hop in game, I can actually probably show it off. So, this is the UI. Now let me quickly clear the... Oh, no, never mind. It cleared itself. So, you have your main items right here. These are your hats, so like your helmets, whatnot. Unfortunately, V currently was trying to manipulate the inventory settings, so it doesn't seem to be working right now. I'm gonna have to rejoin real quick. So you got your bell ability right here. This is what you use to whistle. You activate that by pressing 0. Fortunately, it does not do anything right now. but this is where you put your main equipment items. These are not decorative, these actually have function. Your vanity items are right here. This is a separate inventory. Your vanity items do not have a weight symbol on them, so they don't like occupy any space in your inventory necessarily. You keep them, they're permanent. You have your status, these are your character levels, your skill levels, your statistics. I'll let you guys look at that for a little bit. Go ahead and take screenshots if you want to. There is crafting. I'm not going to delve too much into that. There is your party system. This is what I've been talking about. In order to join a party, you type their party ID to join them, or create a party by pressing this. Right now it does not do anything because we're not actually online. We're currently in studio and it does not register that. You got your research area. You got your blueprint. I'm not going to show what that does. You got your quests. This is where you view your quests. This is your map. If I'm not mistaken, this does not display anything because we're not actually in an online instance. You got your help button right here. You got your refresh. You have only 3 hotbar slots. So make what you can do with that. You got your health. You got your saturation or hunger, and then you have your thirst. You also have your happiness. There are quick access menus that you will not be able to see in the official release. These are admin settings right here that you'll not be seeing either. It's just for us to cheat shit in. You have a mini-map, which is not working right now because, again, we're not in a online instance. But essentially, this would be pixelated. And if I'm not mistaken, it detects the wall collisions of these terrain pieces here, and it tries to display it in real time. I think we've since automated this a little bit further, so there is a pre-baked kind of setting for everything, so it doesn't have to spend as many resources trying to display that map, that mini-map, to your character. You'll see things like, oh, here it is. I wanted to show that. Okay, let's refresh real quick, because I don't want to die. You guys saw that for like half a second, but there is a detector for when you're near an edge. And essentially what that allows you to do is if you press C, fortunately this is not working right now, I'm not sure why, I'm going to quickly check. Yeah, I think it's because I'm not in an online instance. A lot of the features are turned off in Studio. But essentially that activates a ledge climb and turns your character around and it clips them to the edge automatically. So you don't have to try to do the sketchy like timing of trying to catch the edge like I'm trying to do right here. I'm not too successful doing that. But that's essentially what that looks like. It's not complicated at all. It's pretty easy to look at. It does not obstruct your vision at all. You can see what's going on around you. You can still move while your inventory is up. Oh Jesus, 50 questions. Where did I last leave off? Oh, question 45. Do children yearn for the mines? I believe so, honestly. It's convenient. Child labor, am I right? Ooh, demonetized right then and there. Question 47. Will we be able to wear accessories from canon characters like Bondrewd or Liza's hair? The answer is I am not sure. I think so. Question 48. How many hours of Blender experience is required? Minimum to possibly work on the game. I think we can kind of deduce how skilled you are. We can't really say based on hours. I guess like 3,000 hours. It's like usually the amount of time that's required to master something. That's like the general consensus for how long it takes to master something. I mean, that's like the average playtime for a video game that you have on Steam. Question 49, how much terrain knowledge experience is required to work for the game? Literally what I discussed last time this was sort of brought up. Not this exact question, but I did kind of answer this in the past. If you can make this entire map in about a month's worth of time, it's about 2,000 by 2,000 studs in diameter and depth. I would say you're pretty good to go. You're pretty much qualified to hop on our team. We would have to educate you on how to use these terrain pieces because we want to standardize this. Obviously, you can do like little touch-ups here and there with the normal terrain tool, but you'd have to kind of like stick within that like preset idea so we can kind of stay consistent. Let's see what else. Question 50, what does the blueprint GUI mean? Not going to be answering that question because spoilers. Question 51, what rating will the game, what setting? Rating, oh okay, sorry, complete brain fart, sorry about that. What rating will the game be upon launch? We have no clue. It might be 17 and up, assuming what you mean is an age rating. Question 52, why were the hotbars lessened to only 3? That is just a choice made. It's easy to look at. It is quick access. It does mean that the rest of the keys on your keyboard can be used for other stuff like ability keys. So if your relics have an ability and you're holding it in your hand, you would have access to those number keys for quick access. Question 53, are auto-clickers considered exploiting or cheating? What would you even use an auto-clicker for in this game? That's my question. I wouldn't know, honestly. I think it would be kind of useless. I mean, if you really have to do a monotonous task, and you really don't want to be there at the computer, and you just want to, like, let another application do that for you, why play the game, honestly? I mean, I don't think we're going to rule it out, because it's kind of useless for a game like this. There's not a whole lot of things you can do that you can AFK at. This game is like completely interactive. It demands like player input. Let's see what else. Question 54. What will the offense be for exploiting bugs in the game that give players an unfair advantage? We would have to catch you first, but if you do get your hands on it, and you do make a video of it, and you do show yourself off, and you do that cool moment where you like speed run the abyss or whatever, like I did, I don't think we would get pissed off at you and ban you or whatever. But it would be on the bucket list for us to fix the bug, right? We would probably have to do a server reset. Everyone's booted back to Orth. If that gives you an unfair advantage by crossing the abyss like at an insane pace, we'd probably have to put you back at Orth. And honestly, I guess we can be lighthearted about it. As long as you're not a dick. If you're a dick about it, you use it to be a little annoying troll to other players and lower our player count. Maybe then we would have to step in and be a little aggressive, but other than that, we'd probably be a good sport about it. Question 55. Nope, question 56. Will there be blood in this game? Yes. There's also limb breaking, which is probably what's going to get this game rated 17 and up, honestly. Question 58. Yes, yes, sir. I think that's everything, honestly. You guys have any more questions? I highly doubt it. Oh, wait, no, there's more. I forgot to scroll down. Sorry about that. Takes me forever to like lock in and read it. Will you be able to attract animals with meat or other items? That is spoilers. Won't be answering that. Will the game implement sanity system? I guess so. I mean, you guys saw that happiness meter. I accidentally leaked my own game. Question 62. How will the curse of the second layer work? Probably like it how it does in the official media, honestly. Question 64. Ooh, 64, I like Minecraft. Is this a Minecraft reference? Would you say that there are relics that are objectively better than others? This is an off-topic question, but I like it. Honestly, it really depends on the perspective. Are you coming from the perspective of a delver? Or are you coming from the perspective of a merchant who might have alternate purposes for that relic that aren't immediately useful for a delver but would be useful for civilians? Because there's a thing in the official media, right? Junk relics aren't necessarily junk relics. They will probably still sell for pretty high for a reason, right? Let's see. Question 65. Will the game implement gondolas? Gondolas? Yes. Yes, there will. There will absolutely be those. I actually spoiled that once upon a time. In like 2 or 3 of my teasers, actually. We might have to rework them, though, because they're kind of buggy. Question 57, I think. At this point, I think it's 57. Or 56. Yeah, 57. Will you be able to knock out other players and steal their shit from their bags or their inventories? Theft will be a thing, but it won't be done that way. There are a lot of things that I wish I could say in regards to fishing, building mechanics, and theft, and player death and looting their corpse. A lot of those things, believe it or not, are related. I will not be telling you how they're related. But no, you will not be able to knock players out. That will not be a thing. You have to kill them first to get their loot. Question 65. Will the dev team work on other games? Yes. I'm a standalone developer outside of Roblox. I am working on 3 games by myself that are completely separate from Roblox. I have done 1 trailer of one of them. 2 trailers, I think, of 2 different games. They're both brief trailers. They don't showcase a whole lot because I haven't done too much progress. I mean, I'm literally one dude. As for V, he has made side projects, but unfortunately, because of the content that they have, I don't think he's ever releasing them to the public. They're on Roblox, they're just private. He made a fighting game that he invites his friends to that is really, really fun, and it does not look like it belongs on Roblox at all. I mean, it honestly looks like it is its own game, like separate from the platform. The quality of that game is insane. But to answer that question briefly, yes, we are working on other games. This channel will not be a pure Made in Abyss channel. We might do updates on it. That's what this character's for. Whenever I do a Made in Abyss video, I'll be using this avatar. But if I'm doing a different video of a different topic, I'll be using a different VTubing avatar for that case. I'll make a new one. Let's see, what else? Question 68. Will you plan on increasing server sizes? Depending on the stability of the game, maybe. I know that's not a satisfactory answer, but that's the best that I can give. Question 69. Will mobs be able to steal player loot? That is an interesting question. I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think we would want that. I'm gonna be honest. That sounds fucking annoying. I wouldn't want that. Would you want that? Let's be honest. Would you want that? You'll probably say yes right now, but if we do add that, you will regret it. Okay, moving on. Question 70. Will there be a list of rules shown to players before they enter the game? We're not going to be shoving it in their face. There's going to be a settings area that you can click. It'll likely contain the rules. But other than that, it will not be in your face. Question 72. Will Infinity Abyss always be on Roblox? Will you release the game elsewhere, like Steam or other audience for other audiences? The answer is no. Because copyright. We are not officially affiliated with the creators of Made in Abyss. We are not. I wish we were. Shit, I wish we were, dude. Can you imagine? Oh man, this would be worth it. I'm already doing this for fun. Can you imagine me being paid for this? Oh, that would be awesome. I mean, even if I wasn't paid for it, if I were officially added for free, it would be illegal, but that's okay. We would work things out, I hope. Either way, the answer is no. That's not ever happened. That is a fantasy beyond recognition. Question 72. Will players be able to hire Delver NPCs to follow the players and help them? I think that is a feature in Binary Star, if I'm not mistaken. We are not sure. We do want an interactive NPC system. That is all we know. It'll be a little while before we fully implement that, though. Question 72. What is the hardest part of the game so far? Honestly, if you're dumb enough, let's be real, if you're dumb enough as a new player to scale all the way down the abyss, right? Not taking any stops to actually learn the mechanics of the game, you're just so unbelievably lucky, right? You don't die, somehow don't die, you head to the second or third layer. If you do not die by the third layer, seriously, that is like, whoa. If that's not a difficulty tweak, I don't know what is. I mean, the game won't stop you. You can freely explore the abyss. You will be penalized based on the relics that you sell if you're not the proper rank. But other than that, you can explore as far as you want. Question 73. Is Infinity Abyss inspired by other games, such like Deep Woken? The answer is no. We get that question asked a lot, like, can we implement features that are inspired by Deep Woken? I'm gonna be real with you. I'm not super fond of Deep Woken. I played it like once. It is not a game I can get behind. It is a really difficult game for me to get behind. And I think it's because I didn't give it enough time for it to like sit. Like, for me to just like it. I was kind of like super critical when I first played it. But the answer is no. I mean, maybe. I mean, V might have like some kind of external inspiration. I know he wants a fast-paced game. I want a slow-paced game. and we're kind of just like mixing ideas together to kind of find an in-between or a way for the player to do either side. Oh, it is a hard game, so I'm not the only one who noticed that I got my ass immediately kicked. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't mind a hard game. The one thing I don't like is a difficult game with multiplayer. There's just something about those two aspects that just don't mix. Because a game like Deep Woken has like the highest likelihood of a toxic community that I've ever seen. I'm not sure if this is the case. I never bothered looking at chat for that very reason. I just did not want to be a part of it. I've seen it in other games though. And that is probably an unfair way for me to judge a game. But if I've seen it multiple times, then I can only assume that's probably what I'm going to see. Questions 74. How will the game handle transactions to buy in-game items? There will not be any in-game transactions for external currency. There will be not. There will be none. We do not make money off of this game. And the reason is virtual currency can be exchanged for real currency. The exchange rate is really shit, but it is there, and that would mean we're profiting off of the game, which we cannot. We can only do this non-profit. Otherwise, it's illegal. Will Layer 3 have caves? The answer is yes. That is the whole premise behind Layer 3. You can climb outside of Layer 3 and just scale down like balls to the wall. That is the hardest challenge that you can face, but it is a challenge that you can take. You can easily take the easy path, and that is just go through caves. Stick to the caves. You won't have too many problems. It will take longer though. If you do decide to climb outside of the caves and just try to like take as many breaks as you can on ledges and whatnot, you can scale down Layer 3 a whole lot faster. That is the reward of taking the hard path. Question 76. Will the game use color correction effects for aesthetics and vibes? I have adjusted graphics so many times. We have a auto exposure system that is automated through a script, and it is based on a environmental brightness. So it'll automatically adjust if a player enters an open space, or a player enters in a tight space that has a lot of overhangs, that would logically be darker than other areas. We tweak graphics so much that honestly we could take it as many ways as we want. We have like 4 different presets that we can do for the game. We've been like questioning whether or not we should implement it as a setting for players to just swap through. The reason that we're not sticking with any one of them specifically is because they don't look entirely good in specific instances. So we kind of just stuck with like this generalized style that you currently see here, where it's a little foggy. There's a little bit of, let me see what the effects are actually. There's bloom, color correction, there is an atmosphere, there's sun rays, lighting is adjusted using a little bit of a bug that we found. That kind of looks a little nice. It has a bit of a posturization effect to it. Right now it's not as noticeable, but in the past I was experimenting with it. But I realized it doesn't look super good when it's intense. Let's see. Question 77. Will there be a cooking system? Yes. That is like one of the few things that we had so much fun with. I think there's a teaser that you guys can see that shows you some of the features that we have for the cooking system. Recently, we had to adjust it a little bit, so it isn't as procedural as it used to be. we did find a way around that to implement it again, but I'm not too sure. I'll have to ask V if he's going to do it or not. I honestly think we're probably not going to do the procedural version of the system. It'll be cool if we did, right? Imagine making your own recipes. And that was an idea that I thought of. And I brought it by him, and he decided to do it. We didn't have any issues at first with it, but we did eventually run into issues later on. He did say he fixed it, though. I don't know. We'll see. Question 78. Jesus. We might actually get to 100 questions. What will happen to the loot of players who get banned due to offenses such as bad manners and will get dispersed to other players? That would be really funny. Imagine a value, like, balancing system, like, from Eurobiro. That'd be really funny. Honestly, I think the loot would just vanish. Let's see. Question 79. Will players be able to rent inns? No. We have never considered that in the past. We probably won't be considering it now. You might have the ability to rent a storage, maybe. Like a warehouse, probably. That'd be a cool way to, like, smuggle relics from other layers. You would have to pay for it, though. So it doesn't come with, like, a getaway card. You would still have to pay for it. And that would be an investment that you would have to somehow balance. And that would only be for players who decide to take risks and go to a layer that you are not necessarily ranked for, per se. But you don't want to go and sell those relics immediately. You want to wait until you have, like, the proper rank for it. In the meantime, you probably want to store it in the warehouse and then retrieve it when you want to sell it, when you're the proper rank. It's probably how I see that going, but there's no promises that we'll be implementing that feature. Question 80, I think. Will there be achievements in the game, and will the rewards for it be... Will there be rewards for it? There will be achievements. I don't know if there will be rewards for it. There might be rewards if it's a quest, but that's kind of a different topic. Question 81, will there be NPC factions like the Umbrahan, or will they only be player-made factions? There will be implied factions, honestly, through storylines. But it won't necessarily be a feature that you can interact with. We might add that. Actually, that sounds like a cool idea. Can you imagine working for the Umbrahans? I mean, it would be risky, right? But it's definitely a possibility. Dude, imagine becoming an Umbrahan goon. That'd be so cool. Question 81, will there be... No, hold on, 82. Will there be funerals and cemeteries for players, I assume? I think no. If you want to do like a ritual kind of deal, if you want to make it like a thing in game, where players kind of like do that by themselves, it's not necessarily a feature, but you do it on your own accord. You probably get your hands on like Eternal Fortunes, because that's normally used in funerals. You can place them, like drop them on the location of a player's death, per se, just for funsies. That'd be a cool way to like get entangled with the community. I mean, if you guys want to do that, go ahead. That'd be such a cool like tradition for you guys to uphold. I don't think the items would persist long enough for those players to like discover them, but it would be cool if they last just long enough for it to happen. Question 83. Will layers 3 to 5 be worked on immediately after the game's release? I think honestly we'll probably take a break. We'll be like on the background, like fixing bugs, because you know for a fact that players will have issues with the game on release. It won't be perfect. ever. So we'll be busy for the first like couple of weeks, try to get things fixed. But beyond that, we'll probably take a break. Maybe for like a month or whatever. But until then, the game will be as hard as possible, right? So there's a very high likelihood that players will downright say the crossing of layers 1 to 2 is downright impossible. And they'll just have too many issues with it, right? Until like maybe a breakthrough happens later on, where players finally get the skill requirements to actually go ahead and pass those layers. So the guy didn't necessarily put this in like a question thing, but that's okay. We'll answer it anyway. Will minor updates come? Yes. Question 84. Will the game have seasonal events? This was technically asked before, but the answer is I hope so. Question 88. I think we're at 88. Oh my god, I'm lost. Oh, 85. Okay. Will Secret Camp only be for decoration, or will you actually be able to do things inside of it? You can do things inside of it, yes. Will not spoil what? 86. Will players be able to stack on top of each other? You can only carry one player at a time, I think. So, no. This is not like Rust, where you can just, like, jump on top of people. Roblox, that would be funny. I mean, you probably can. I think you probably could, like, jump on top of someone, but there's a high likelihood that you'll just slide off. Oh man, I'm hungry. I'm not gonna lie. After I'm done with all these questions, I think we're going to do another break so I can grab me something to eat. You guys definitely should too. But before I do that, let's go ahead and answer the remainder. Let's see. Question 87. Like in the anime, will deeper relics be more durable? But there's a high likelihood that we're not going to keep the way that we currently have it. Unfortunately, I did cut out for a second there. But I am a little bit too tired to re-answer that question. I guess there will be a newspaper system. I guess. I mean, I think there was. I don't know. I don't keep track of everything. There's so much stuff to keep track of that I have to, like, balance that and developing, and that's not very easy for me to do. But you can ask that question in the questions channel and V might answer your question. Question 89, will there be corpses? Yes, like as in the skeletons, the praying skeletons? Yes. They do have features to them that I'm not going to spoil. Question 89. Will there be a 2,000 year cycle in the game? No, I don't think so. It'll probably be an event if we are going to do it, kind of like one of those seasonal events. I wouldn't know how to implement that because it's not fully explained in the manga just yet. The characters in the story are literally theorizing what could happen when a 2,000 cycle happens. And a lot of theories kind of like float around about like diseases and whatnot, and the abyss swallowing the upper layer whole and creating a new layer 1. I wouldn't honestly know how we would implement that. That sounds a little too complicated. Question 89, will animals be able to reach other layers like the Crimson Splitjaw? You'll probably see cameos of other animals from other layers, yes. But they won't have the ability to cross them physically. Question 90. Before new layers are added, what will be at the bottom? Like the bottom of the abyss? or the bottom of every layer ending before a new one is added? I'm gonna guess the second one is what you mean. To answer that question briefly, there will be a teleport pad, but it won't work. It won't be very entertaining. It'll probably be a little boring. That was the case in the game before the overhaul. You would get to layer 1, like the end of it, but you wouldn't have the ability to get to layer 2. Question 91. When you leave the game while being in the Abyss, will you rejoin and stay right where you were when you started? You will not be transported back to Orth if you leave the game. The game actually saves your position before you left. So if you left in layer 1, you'll come back on layer 1. Question 92. Will it be a broken limb mechanic? Yes. That has been said multiple times. Question 94. Is it possible for mobs to reach the surface? No. There might be mobs in Orth, but they won't have the ability to transcend layers, I don't think. That sounds complicated. Question 95. Can you get eaten by mobs in the game like the Crimson Splitjaw? Not implemented yet. Right now they just kind of kill you and then they walk away. Let's see. They do get distracted by your corpse for a little bit. As far as I'm concerned, that's a intentional feature to distract opponents. Question 97. Will you add corpse rippers? That's a spoiler. Question 98. Will players be able to give other players Orth money? I don't think so. I could be wrong. Question 99. What happens if you leave the game in the middle of combat? I don't think there's a combat penalty just yet, but we probably will be adding one. Can you imagine being the type of person to leave in a fight? That is something I would do. I'm gonna be honest, that's something I would do. We would probably add kind of like a tolerance system for that. So you would get into a fight, right, and there would be like a 10-second gap. If you're not getting attacked within that 10 seconds, you're freely allowed to leave the game. What else? We'd probably have to expand that for range weapons, right? So that range weapons don't just lock players into a fight that they don't want to do. That sounds annoying, honestly. Question 100. Will there be trading between separate markets and in between players? There might be separate auctions for like Uruburu and Orth, but they would probably run on the same auction, honestly. I think in lore it would make sense for items from Orth to get to Uruburu, but for them to get there, Bondrewd would have to send those relics there. And the only reason why, send those items there. And the only reason why he would do that is if he wanted something from Uruburu, if that makes sense. I think it's canon that he makes frequent visits to that place. Which is interesting. I think we're at the end of all those questions. Awesome. So I'm going to quickly grab me something to eat because I am feeling a little weak. We're going to play some music. First recommendation, go ahead and let me know what your first recommendation for your music is. We'll go ahead and play it. And I'm going to quickly grab me some food. I'll probably be here still to talk, but I wouldn't want my munching to be picked up by my mic. Please play Faith. Okay. Right, there you go. think it's working. You're gonna be one of those kinds of players. I'll be waiting for you. That's all I've got to say. You and my gun, I'm gonna be waiting for you. Dude, I'm not surprised. You know there's going to be more than one Jory. I actually brought that up like at least 2 streams ago. Right now it's 5.1 for me. Not food. That's all I've got to say. I had to grab something quick. I had a lot of snacks. Alright, I'm gonna quickly throw in the trash, and then we're going to continue work on the layer for about an hour. Maybe less than that, honestly. Alright, back. I do still have something in my mouth, but that's okay. I work on the game at least twice a week. Maybe 3 times a week, 4 times. Yeah, I've pretty much left a lot of the communities that I used to be in because they were incredibly distracting, or I didn't agree with some of the stuff that they say. So that leaves me with like so much free time on my hands that I tend to just spend it on working on this game or just gaming. I do draw a lot. Sometimes I can take an entire day. Dude, someone showed this game on release. On release, that's the deal. On release to Akihito. You have my blessing to show the game on release to Akihito. Dude, if he supported this game, ooh. Man, that would be something else. I would flex that shit to Kingdom Come. Holy crap. I can't take all the credit, obviously. Dude, V, I know he doesn't like answer a lot of questions as often as I do. And I know he doesn't stream, but he is one of the major reasons, major, keyword major, that any of this shit works. He's our programmer, he's our back-end and front-end programmer for the project. if there is a functionality that is not within the current engine, he'll try to implement it himself, which is crazy, by the way. You're modifying an engine to make it work for you. Obviously, there's a limit to that, but he does it to a certain extent. Both of us would be flexing this to Kingdom of that Blessing. That would be awesome. And if he doesn't, which, by the way, he technically doesn't own the rights to the manga, the studio he works for does. Which sounds confusing because he's the one who wrote the manga, but it's just how it is. He was contracted by the studio to make a certain number of chapters, etc., etc. So he's technically not the one who owns it. We would have to get the blessing from the studio themselves. I don't see why they wouldn't. I mean, honestly, like, what are we doing that's bad for the games like Mojo or whatever? I mean, the series Mojo. It's not like Nintendo where people make fan games and they just start losing their shit over it. I mean, I guess. If I were the creator of a manga that got released, was well appraised enough for a team to make a whole fan game that rivals the quality of a licensed release, I would lose my shit. I'd be like, holy crap, I just struck a gold mine. There is only one other community that I know of that has that kind of dedication. That is the Toho community. The same bullet hell community that is all over the internet. They do all kinds of crazy shit. Most of the anime that is produced for that game is fan-made. None of it is official, which is insane, because they are like studio-level quality films that people just make. A lot of money goes into just fan content. It's not even official. And if I were the creator of a community that has that kind of compassion for the story that I wrote, I would be pretty happy with it. So I'm not surprised. Okay. They definitely do be wilding. So, chat, we're reaching the final stretch of this video. We're going to be locking in. I will not have the ability to answer too many questions. I mean, I might try to, but that won't be a good idea for me. Ask at your own discretion. It doesn't really matter because when the stream is over, I'm probably going to end up doing some off-screen development. But, you know, it does prevent me from finishing development on stream, which isn't a problem if you want to take that chance to get your question answered. Your question is important. Our last biggest competitor just announced that they would no longer be making a Made in Abyss game. From what I understood of it, I could be wrong, they essentially said that the concept was a little too limiting, quote unquote. and that they would do one that is inspired off of Made in Abyss, but isn't a Made in Abyss game at heart. Right? So they could do whatever the hell they want with it. It is Abyssal Cavern or something like that. It's the one game that I keep telling people, if you aren't patient enough to wait for this game, play that game. You have my blessing. I think it is a good game to play. Let me see if I can get the name of this game again. I'm in their Discord server. Yeah, I don't know what they're called. Either The Abyss or Abyssal Cavern or something like that. Haku, that's another one that they're working on. I think they split it up. I don't know. My point is, we don't have too many competitors that are at a quality level that our game's currently at. There are a lot of lookalikes that decided that they would be going in a different direction. Yeah. Let me see if I can get a link. Okay, I asked the question in their general chat. I probably should have asked them directly because I do have like DMs with them. Yeah, I don't know. It's gonna take a while for me to get a link, but I'll try to get a link. Yeah, from what it kind of looks like they split their game to Drift Howl and Infinite Expanse. It's kind of what they call it, I think. There's another one called Haku. I unfortunately cannot get any links to it. Yeah, I can't seem to get a link to it. Oh well. They'll probably ping me. Oh, nope, never mind. They gave me one. Okay, sweet. This is not a link to the game. Oh wait, no, here it is. Found it. I think it's still up. Alright, sent it in chat. Here, let me share my screen real quick because I think that would help. Because right now it sounds like I'm like not saying anything and everything goes like completely quiet. But I am doing something. I think. Hold on. Here it is. So they made a claim that they want to make it better than Infinity Abyss. You know what? I invite the challenge. I mean, I invite that new challenger. They've been with us like butting heads for quite a while now. But essentially, what they said was they're going to make kind of like a Made in Abyss inspired game. So it won't be a faithful Made in Abyss game, but it'll be kind of like inspired by it, like loosely. Now, my competition was with anyone who's doing it faithfully. But I said bet in chat, and I think I'll be looking forward to their game. Like I said, it is an alternative. You guys can play it. If you guys are not patient, you can go ahead and hop on. I think their game's released. You can just play it right now. Do you got the link to the Discord server? Here, let me see if I can grab it. Let me quickly edit this. Maybe maximum of 10 uses, probably. Copy. Yep. It did not copy the link. Don't know why. I think I did a small mistake. Okay, I see. I see what I did wrong. My bad, I'm a dunce. What? I used the copy button, question mark. I'm so confused why that did not work. Yeah, I have no clue why it's not giving me their link to invite people to the server. But the name of the server is Survivors of the Abyss. I'm sure you can find them somewhere. Tell them I said hi, and that I probably sent you here. Wink. Okay, it's locked in. Feel free to make song suggestions. We're down to like 15 minutes left, so we kind of have to like speed run. I'm gonna do Krushka's sequence first. I got a little distracted. Well, that was wholesome. I should have streamed all of that, but that's okay. I don't think they want to be embarrassed. They didn't even realize that I was a developer. It's okay. I don't chat there very often, so I'm not too surprised. But I was invited by their server owner. If I'm not mistaken, I think I was, yeah. Hello, Mars. Good luck on your game. Alrighty. I got a little distracted. Now we can do a little bit more before the stream ends. That was a little wholesome. We didn't really get too much done this stream. Well, yes, we did. We got a lot of questions answered, which I think is good. There's a good likelihood that those questions will be asked again, and I'll be looking forward to it. Not really, but you know, I don't mind answering questions. Quickly put on that music. I feel like doing old stories one more time. This is a good ending music. I speak from experience. Lua is really, really easy to pick up. I'm not saying it's that way by design. I'm sure they had to modify it a little bit to accommodate children, but it seems to be like the common trend around development on Roblox. It seems to be pretty easy to pick up. I didn't have too many problems with it anyway. It's intuitive. Okay, I do think the music has ended, and I kind of use that as a timer. I do believe we can call it quits here for today. Thank you everyone for joining the stream. If you have any remaining questions that you would like to ask before the stream is over, let me know. But aside from that, I think we can probably end it right here. Quickly check chat. It looks like everyone's having a conversation with each other. Okay. Well, assuming there are no questions, we're going to be ending it in 2 minutes. I guess there are no questions. Do a little bit more on screen, why not? Doesn't hurt. We got 2 minutes left. Yeah, I can't seem to place an in between right there. It's okay. Yeah, we'll leave it like that. I don't know which one I like more. Let's see if I'll let that sit. Maybe I'll like it. Okay. Alright, everybody, thank you for joining the stream. I have no clue what's going on in chat. Looks pretty interesting. Not really. Noodles.